back to my series of Steven Spielberg reviews, and welcome back to Steven Spielberg month. And now we're going to be talking about one of Steven Spielberg's unappreciated but at the same time appreciated films, Hook. So Hook was directed by obviously Steven Spielberg and was released in 1991, I believe. And the story takes place with Peter Banning, who's played by Robin Williams. Rest in peace. Such a great actor. It's so sad that he had to leave. But Peter Banning is basically Peter Pan. He is now all grown up. He has a family, he has kids and stuff, and then one day he realizes that Captain Hook has kidnapped Peter Pan's children, and Peter Banning eventually encounters Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell has to convince Peter Banning to go save his children from Captain Hook and become Peter Pan again. Hook is a great time. I remember watching this movie a lot when I was a little kid. Absolutely loved this movie when I was a kid. Now that I look at it, I still love this movie today, but it does have flaws, though. I really don't know why this is one of Steven Spielberg's most unappreciated movies. If you don't believe me, Rotten Tomatoes literally gave this film a 28%. A lot of critics hated Hook. Like, I don't understand that. This is an absolutely great movie. And yes, I could see it have some flaws and stuff, but it doesn't deserve like a 28. It deserves a lot better than that. And this movie is nowhere near terrible. Nowhere near. And most critics back in the day called this one of Steven Spielberg's, if not Steven Spielberg's worst movie. And I disagree. I highly disagree. This is not Steven Spielberg's worst movie, or even one of his worst. This is such a really, really good movie. Hook has really great direction to it. It's a really clever story, especially when you combine it into the Peter Pan universe. The story of Peter Pan, now old, and he has to go on a journey to go save his kids from Captain Hook, and he runs into the Lost Boys again, is an absolutely clever idea. Because the moments with Peter Banning with the Lost Boys and Rufio in this movie, they're some of the best moments in the entire film. They are so heartwarming and so touching and so much fun to watch. Something that Spielberg delivers in a lot of his movie is the amount of magic. The amount of magic that's brought into Steven Spielberg's movies. And Hook is filled with them. The entire film from opening to finish feels absolutely magical and breathtakingly gorgeous. Dustin Hoffman is so great as Hook. This is probably the best carnation of Hook I have seen, aside from the original 1950s Peter Pan that was released by Walt Disney, obviously. But this is probably the best carnation of Captain Hook. Dustin Hoffman is so great in this movie. There are times where he's funny. There are times where you can even take him serious, a little too serious. He does some over-the-top things, kidnapping and brainwashing a little bit Peter Pan's children. And he murders Rufio, which is very hard to watch. That is a very, very, very hard scene to watch. Julia Roberts is absolutely great as Tinkerbell in this movie. Robin Williams as well. He is such a legend. You can never go wrong with Robin Williams. His voice and his acting are the things that give you a smile on your face. And it sucks that we don't have this man to make around anymore to make movies, because he had the talent. Robin Williams was always one of those few actors that would always bring a smile to my face, and a lot of people's faces too. His voice, his sense of positivity, his humor, it's just all great to look at. Charlie Korsmo and Amber Scott are really great as the kids in this movie, as Peter Pan's children. They're really great child actors. They're strong, and they're just so relatable and likable, and they actually feel like actual children. It doesn't really feel like you're watching a performance. And that's what Spielberg shows to all of his... That's what Spielberg delivers to all of his actors in every movie that he makes, including children. And everything absolutely looks breathtakingly amazing in this movie. Bob Hoskins is also really great in this movie. Rest in peace, again. Really great actor. One of my favorite actors who ever lived, honestly. Along with Robin Williams. But Bob Hoskins was really, really great as Smee, I believe, in this movie. He was on it. He honestly delivered, and even though he wasn't like in every single scene, he was really great in all the scenes that he was in, and he tried hard. The Lost Boys were also really, really great in this movie. Like I said, you can never go with the child actors, and Rufio, amazing. The actors who portrayed the Lost Boys and Rufio, they are really great in this movie. They try their hardest. You can tell that they absolutely love what they're doing because of the imagination and the magic that's thrown into this movie and these new things that you come across and you experience with Robin Williams, as he has no idea what's going on and Tinkerbell is trying to guide him and the Lost Boys. The sense of imagination in Hook, like I said, is absolutely breathtaking. This film is so magical, like a lot of Steven Spielberg's other films. Now, you might be wondering, since there are a lot of people who love this movie and others who don't appreciate this movie, do I consider this movie as a classic? Yes, I really do consider this movie as a classic. It's such a great time, but I don't really consider it one of Steven Spielberg's best movies, but it's still such a really, really fun time. I mean, it's hard, I really don't understand why a lot of people dislike this movie, and not in particular people, but mostly critics. Why did critics hate this movie when this movie was released? And that goes to some of the other people who appreciate it, who don't appreciate it actually. And the other group of people who love this movie. I'm one of the groups of people who actually like this movie a lot. I have a big heart for Hook. It's really, really such a great time. It's one of my favorites. Now, even though I said the way this movie looks is absolutely great, I do have some flaws of this movie, and it has to do with the looking of the film a little bit. One of the flaws has to do with how Captain Hook dies in this movie. So apparently, how Captain Hook dies, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie, I suggest you leave this review and come back to this. If you haven't seen this movie, I suggest you leave this review, watch the movie, and then come back to this review. Spoiler alert, how Captain Hook dies is the Lost Boys are holding like many clocks around him, tick-tock clocks, and Captain Hook and Peter Pan are sword fighting and stuff like that, and then eventually a large crocodile just starts to move its head down. It almost looks like a large mannequin or something, like it almost looks dead. I'm like, is that thing alive or dead? I don't know, but it's moving, and then it automatically falls and lands and eats Captain Hook. I thought that was just I thought that was just off to me, because it didn't give... If that thing was alive, it looked horrible. I mean, and if that thing was dead, I could understand it. But, again, when Captain Hook got swallowed by that thing burped. So... if that crocodile was alive, that thing looked fake. And I did not understand that scene. And I still don't understand it today. But another flaw that I had with this movie are sometimes the sets do look like sets, sadly. They look like sets that you would see on plays and stuff like that. Sometimes it doesn't look realistic, but some other scenes in this movie really do look mind-blowing. But the sets usually where, like, the ships are and where Captain Hook lives and stuff like that, those sets do look like sets, sadly. It almost feels like you're watching a play or something like that. But other than that, those are my only flaws with the movie. Hook is a fantastic time. Absolutely love this movie. It's not one of Steven Spielberg's best movies, but it is but it's definitely not one of his worst. Or his worst. It is way far from that, in my opinion. And it is such a great movie, and such a great time. And I absolutely love this movie. I really do. Even though the amount of flaws that were in this movie, the amount of flaws that does hurt this movie quite a bit that were in this movie, I still love this movie for what it is. This movie is not a masterpiece, but I do consider it as a classic. It is such a great time. I'm going to give Hook a B+. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Look forward to more movie reviews that I'll be making later, which are more Steven Spielberg movie reviews. And I want to try to review movies like Schindler's List, like I already said. I want to try to review E.T., maybe Bridge of Spies, maybe Duel, and other Steven Spielberg movies. Also, I want to try to review Ready Player One. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I wanted to try to review it. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching always. You guys are the best. Love every single one of you. Look forward to more movie reviews and that I'm going to make in the future and stuff like that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I am Mario Fan 520, and I will see you next time. Peace out.